I was watching this thing on Daft Punk recently, and it occurred to me the reason these guys wear masks is completely opposite of the reason I thought they were wearing masks. Whenever I saw a band that had something going on with an aesthetic thing, like painting their faces or wearing masks, like either, Kiss or Slipknot, or I always kind of looked at it from the point of view of, oh, this is something to get attention. That's why they're doing it. Once I heard this Daft Punk thing, their reasoning, it occurred to me that that could be wrong entirely, my thought process there. By In the Daft Punk situation, like, them covering their faces up completely every time they're doing interviews or every time they're in the public eye, when they first started, they didn't have good-looking, cool masks. It was never about creating a spectacle to look at that was more interesting than, like, a human face. It was never about that. It was always about putting what's most important first. For them, it was wanting people to hear and appreciate their music was the utmost first priority at the top of the list. That was all they wanted, people to hear and appreciate their music. What they looked like didn't matter. They didn't want that to get in the way of the music because these guys are smart guys. Anytime you have anything that's a part of the music, like a visual, and what they had was two regular looking guys. I mean, people may think they're great looking, some not. Who cares? The point is, it's not about what they look like. And they didn't want what they look like interfering with the music. So it wasn't about like creating mystery or creating cool looking masks or anything. When you look at their original masks they used, they were cheap and terribly made. They were whatever they could find to just cover their face is what they wore when they had no money. And then, I know people are going to say it's funny they did that, but they also created one of the most iconic looking masks of all time. So they did, but they only did that because they were trying to keep with this whole idea of the music's all that matters, so we wanna cover our faces, and now we have some money, so we might as well not use, a giraffe mask from Party City or whatever. Like, we're gonna use a regular something cool that's unique to us, but it's just to cover our faces. Like, it was never about, "We're gonna create these cool looking masks." That's like a sort of an accident or a byproduct of them being successful with this idea of our appearance doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter. That shouldn't be in the equation. That was what the goal and the driving force was behind the decision making, and this is the point of this whole video. When you put your focus on the right things, when you it's almost like then you're riding a wave with the wave. You're dancing with it, as opposed to trying to fight it. If you try to fight it, things are gonna go wrong for you. It's never gonna work out, especially if you've ever tried to surf or anything like that. I mean, there's just a whole thing with going with the current and with the flow, and if you fight that, you lose every time. It's too much going against it. So, that's kind of what I think people do too often when they hit some sort of resistance or wall. You know, it's not always the answer to push right through and break down the wall. Sometimes it's about turning in a little bit of a direction to kinda go with the wave and ride in the direction of things that are working. So, for example, you may think you're trying to make the best thing you can make so that you could have a future and a career in music. You may think that's your goal. That's the wrong goal. The right goal should be, I need to make the best thing I can make so that this is as true of a representation and a reflection of me now and how I see things, how my art is to me when I know it's right now. Not right, in 10 years after it gets done, it's never done. I put an incredible amount of importance on finishing things. That to me is way more important than making it perfect. Finishing it actually helps you get better. So far too often people put too much priority on perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. You need to focus on finishing. But if things aren't working in the direction you're going, you must kind of figure out another way in by pivoting, by kind of riding the wave in the direction it wants to go. What do you have to lose? So their focus being on the right thing, which was on the music, take the idea out of it that we should be somebody who's a celebrity or be able to, people to be famous, to get any of the perks of that, or like they didn't want any of that. And as a result, their music did connect with tons of people because it was great. So you sort of can't look at why things connect or not. It's not about that. The reasoning doesn't matter. Things connect when they connect. You have no idea why that's going to happen. But what you know is that they trusted their taste. They went with what they knew was good. They didn't ask 100 people what they thought. They didn't ask 5, 10 friends and rely on those decisions to make what they're making. They put an incredible amount of importance on their own taste and the confidence they have in their own taste, just like a Rick Rubin. Why is he successful? Because he has an incredible amount of confidence in his own taste, and he has the ability to just listen and trust his instincts for his own taste. That's why. These guys did the same thing. Daft Punk knew what it was they wanted to achieve with sound, and they went after it. That's it. They went after it and they put it out. They put themselves on the line, and they didn't do something for the wrong reason. So for anyone out there who's thinking that you have this, you're trying to make the best art you can make, so that, and any of this stuff is not a pure act of devotion to the art itself. If it's anything but that, it's for the wrong reason. And therein lies the other thing, which is sometimes when you pivot on that wave, it's actually to get something done that will allow you to create the best art you can make in that act of devotion to the art, to making it as great of a piece of artwork as you can possibly make, because then the most people might actually connect with it. But that's never the point. You're never trying for that. You're trying to make it where you connect with it, because that's the best thing I get from all the stuff I listen to from Rick Rubin. And so, I just started checking out his book, which I never checked out before, the recent one. And I have to tell you, the best thing that I get from him, the best thing is that every one of us we are the only ones who can make our art. To me, that's the best thing he's ever, I just love that. In other words, you're the only one who can make your art. No one ever is going to make what you would make, ever. So there's no good or bad. That's the best thing you could take with you. There's no good or bad. Nobody's better than you at making your art. It wouldn't be your art. It would be theirs. It's something else completely. We all have our own role to play. We all have our own art to make. And if you decide to hold it back, it's not great enough, it's not perfect, just an endless cycle of hating yourself, not trusting your decision making. If it becomes all of that, all you're doing is abstaining. You're opting out of creating art. That's all you're really doing. And since nobody can make your art, all you're also doing is starving the world of whatever it is you can give them. So, I hope this kind of thing hits you, but we can learn a lot from people who came at things with the right idea in mind as far as what the ultimate goal is. Because far too often, I think, when people don't succeed, it's because you haven't really calibrated that goal properly yet. So try focusing on that, see what might happen in the future. Take it one day at a time. Any little bit of progress forward is a huge step forward, because it's just like an arrow. If you change the trajectory just a little bit, a tiny bit, over enough time, that arrow would go in a completely different direction than if it stayed on exactly where you have it now. You're never going to change in that case. Whereas if you just change it a little bit, pretty soon it's way far away from where it would have been if it was never changed. So all you got to do is change a little bit every day, and then you'll see what happens in the future. That's it. Nobody can make art like yours, like what you can make. Only you can do that. Like, comment, subscribe. More to come. Evan Jaffe, Custom Cut Studios. You guys got this. Take it easy.